We're live.
Yo!
Hello.
What's up, Grace?
Welcome, everybody. Not much. I think it was hailing last night here, actually.
Oh.
So
just recovering.
But but it's all good. How are you doing over there in New York?
Going well. Just
Nice.
enjoying my Friday. Hope all of you out there are going to enjoy your weekend. What are you up to? Let us know. Today, we're going to be talking about Twitter, of course. There's always something up with Twitter. And this week is nothing new. I mean, it is new, but that's nothing new.
Everything is new,
Twitter.
right?
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't checked in on Twitter in a while, though. So
yeah.
I think it'll be good to do a deep dive on all the different things that have been going on.
Right. Yeah, so we're going to be talking today all about Twitter news, including if Twitter is going to be going open source, what that means, whether or not this is good or bad for Twitter in our opinion, and then also some of the Elon craziness that's been happening. Yeah, Elon has sort of been having beef with President Biden and his low engagement on Twitter, slashing jobs at Twitter and asking for certain features at Twitter. So we're going to be talking about Elon as well. And I say, let's get into it.
Yes. Yeah, lots going on.
Yes.
Okay.
So I will start with a little article.
Nice.
So Elon allegedly says Twitter could be going open source as early as next week. He said it in this tweet.
Which is soon.
Yes, that's very, very soon. He said that in this tweet from 3 days ago. Not even its own tweet that he made, just a reply to someone that said, who was someone who was sort of talking smack at Elon, saying like, oh yeah, it's not going to be open source, like you said. Because a year ago, Elon said that Twitter should be open source, did a poll on Twitter, and 82% of people voted that Twitter should be open source. And so obviously he's gonna keep his word because he loves the Twitter polls. And then finally said that the algorithm might be open source by next week, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. I think next week is pretty soon. So I feel like at this point, everyone's kind of wondering, is this just a big joke? Is he just trying to rile up people's excitement or just like get the news cycle going about him again? Although, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how much work going open source is. From what I understand, it's like publishing the source code. So maybe there isn't that much work that goes into it. It's literally just like you put the code up on a website that everyone can view. But I don't know. I think in some senses, yeah. What do you think about Jack? Like, do you think this is a good move for Twitter, or is it bad?
Yeah, that is a interesting question. I think there's trade-offs, right? So one of the trade-offs, I think, for a good reason for them to go open source is that we see that a lot of social medias right now, especially like with algorithms like TikTok, with the For You page, they've been getting into some hot water with the government, not just the American government, but like governments all over the world as well. And I think because people are unsure, like what data is being collected for the algorithm, where is it going, is it being sold, can governments look at it? Things like that. How does it work? What are kids seeing on these platforms? And so a lot of companies are getting into trouble. And although we haven't seen, I don't think, a platform be like completely slammed for their algorithms. This is really just the tip of the iceberg. And I think a lot of platforms are worried about regulators. And so I think it's good for Twitter to sort of have this transparency, or at least good for their company to try and share like, hey, this is how the algorithm works. Anyone with, you know, a deep technical knowledge will be able to look at this and tell you that, like, hopefully it's not sus, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's not good for Twitter as a business, just because if it's open source and anyone, like I said, with technical knowledge can now view this code, theoretically, like, anyone can probably like copy and paste that code, make like minor tweaks if they'd like, or not, maybe even, and just sort of make a clone, and it will make Twitter even, you know, have to be more on the defensive side to compete with these other platforms, sort of like Mastodon already sort of has this open source Twitter vibe, and I can imagine that there'll be even more of them who pop up. Obviously, Twitter is ahead of the game. They're sort of like, I don't really know if they were first, but they sort of have the like first to market, you know, edge over any new companies that would pop up. But like, people who don't like Elon Musk could make their own version, and, you know, people might use that, or people who, you know, on both sides of the aisle. I feel like there's like very liberal and very conservative people who don't like him, and so it could like sort of reduce the usership of Twitter. So those are, I think there's good for Twitter. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's positives of, and maybe this is, I don't know. I think basically it sounds like they want to do this, from what I've read, to avoid people like the government regulators getting on their backs about what they're doing with the source code and the algorithm, which we've seen, with TikTok, with other platforms already. I think that, and I think it is, once you publish source code, people see it, they can copy it. Although one thing I think that Twitter has is culture, right? Like, even if, I think there's been other platforms that probably have tried to do what Twitter does that we no longer even remember or know about, because Twitter has like created this culture of content and creators that it's just hard to replicate elsewhere, even if you have the literal same features, like the way that Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts have tried copying TikTok, and it's just not the same yet, because, you know, TikTok is the people there, the type of things that are going on there, it's like unique to it. Although I think with all this stuff about Elon, like, I think he's pissing off a lot of people, to be honest. Like, and people eventually will just be like, I'm not gonna sit around using this platform that who knows what they're doing behind doors, as we've seen with the whole like changing the algorithm for his tweets thing recently. So I think there is a big possibility that if someone else made a new version of Twitter, they could people could move over there, and then the culture, you know, shifts to that platform. But I think it is harder said than done. Or harder done than said. Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Maybe that brings us to talk a little bit about some of what you brought up, which is some of the algorithm changes, which I think is pretty interesting, that Elon wants to make Twitter open source, but sort of has implemented these like vanity features. And to me, that's sort of, they're like at odds, right? Like, if you want to make the algorithm open source, like, I would think that you'd want it to be fair, and you'd want it to be, I don't know, anyway, let me just dive in before I explain my thoughts. But so, there is Elon and Biden Super Bowl beef. Yes, for real. I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but during the Super Bowl, Elon's Super Bowl tweet did drastically worse in terms of engagement than Biden's did. And after that happened, he called a meeting with some engineers, as you can see here. Made his engineers put him like higher up in the algorithm so that he pops up first, his tweets. Which is just like what? Like, why does that matter?
And okay, I honestly like reading this article or just hearing this news about Elon wanting his tweets to be more popular than the president tweeting about the Super Bowl. Like, if I would literally think this was out of a TV show if the past few months hadn't happened and we hadn't seen like all of this Elon drama before. You know, it just literally sounds so fake. It sounds fake. But I also can believe it now because we've seen him do like very unbelievable things.
Yeah. No, it is like a TV show. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, I would imagine, I don't know, I have my own criticisms of Elon, of course, but
Right.
It's just strange to be like he should be focused on making the company better, not making his own tweets better. Like, obviously he is the founder, so like he's an important face of the company, but like, I don't know. I just think this is kind of ridiculous to change the algorithm on a whim.
Yeah. Like I think
silly.
it's scary. It's scary beyond being like, lol, Elon's trying to like, you know, get more popular. It's just scary because this is literally how algorithms work. It's not transparent, which is why I think open source could be a good thing for Twitter. But they can do whatever they want, pull the levers they want behind doors, and the whole population of the world pretty much will see this content, will be affected by it. You know, it's like, yeah, I think it changes the culture, changes what we talk about and think, our perspectives on things when we see certain types of content. And we would hope that, this algorithm would be fair. But if it's not, if it's admittedly not, and it's being dictated by the leader of a company, it just feels scary. So
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that. I think it goes against sort of the open source vibe of like, we should just create the algorithm, let everyone be able to see it, and let it work the way it's meant to work, right? And
right.
This, I think something that like Elon has said for a long time is like, oh, Twitter should be like the town hall, right? Where like it's a fair platform and anyone can use it. But ultimately, like, I don't know, the town hall like only goes so far if there's one person who's always at the speaking pedestal. You know what I mean?
If there's one person just screaming in the town square and everyone else has to listen.
So I think his like metaphor on that is kind of flawed. But
that's fair.
Yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think Twitter should be open source? Would love to hear. Twitter would be open source so that people use that on their convenience. That's it. Tell us more what you mean, Gen X. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Interested. I feel like people already do use Twitter, I feel like, on their own convenience, as is.
Right.
Yeah, I don't I kind of feel like for the actual like user though, and like for the transparency of users, like it probably would be better for Twitter to be open source.
Right.
Is my take.
I think ultimately I do agree. I think it would be good. And I think all of social media platforms should be open source, honestly, like, because we've had so many conversations and I've seen so many, we've just seen so much news about like TikTok is under pressure now. Facebook's been under pressure for their algorithm. And I just think these algorithms do have so much impact on society as a whole, on people, and for one company to kind of own it and be able to change things as much as they want. I think these bigger companies like Facebook and Facebook's a big one. So they might have more like regulations and more try to be held accountable more. But especially a rising company like TikTok that's moving so fast, I think that the transparency hasn't been there, basically. And I think that we all suffer as a result. So would be good to see more of that.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think it's interesting that this is happening like right as TikTok is opening up sort of their transparency centers and things like that. I think this is going to probably become a bigger conversation in time. Something I think we should also talk about is Elon as a whole for Twitter. Obviously, he's the head of Twitter. Do you think he is the best CEO for Twitter? Because Elon has said more recently that he actually is in the market, sort of looking around for other potential CEOs to take over his post by the end of the year or early next year. So he'll still obviously own it, but he would be hiring someone to lead. I'd be interested to hear what you think about that, and what you guys in the chat think about. Do you think Elon is the best CEO for Twitter, or should he take more of a backseat approach based on what he's done so far in the helm?
Right. I think, in a word, no. I don't think he's the best CEO for Twitter. I'm not too familiar on like all the CEOs Twitter has had, but I just feel like he has made it worse. He has just undone a lot of things that were put in place for reasons, maybe not understood the reasons they were put in place, has just generated so much of like the media's attention and just caused like chaos for the company, for the future of the company as a platform. I think, from the user's perspective, like I'm just not sure what the future of Twitter looks like at this point. Like I really couldn't tell you. I think for a long time we were so certain it was going to shut down. Now I'm not. It's been a few months since everyone was like, "Oh, it's shutting down tonight." So it clearly didn't shut down. But I think it's gradually getting. People have been reporting more like latency. It's like slower. Things are like buggier. They've also like apparently not been paying bills on time. Like I think their internal Slack shut down because they didn't pay their Slack bill, and they haven't been paying their rent for their office on time. And I know these don't really like impact me directly right now, but it feels like the company is kind of like frittering away, and Elon is like the one doing that. And just besides like the employees themselves, the things that he's done to the algorithm and like constantly shipping these new updates and like iterating and really quickly, and it's just been a chaotic experience. And I don't even use Twitter a ton. Like I don't use it for my livelihood at all. And a lot of people do. Like creators use this as a platform. They are trying to build their business and their brand. And it's just as we've talked in the past, like reliability is so important for a platform where creators are going to be building their livelihood, and it's just so volatile right now. And I think he's caused a lot of that, even things that weren't like volatile before.
Yeah.
So I think
that's a really good
What do you think?
point. I think it reminds me of the conversation I actually had with Greg a few weeks back now on this live show. Where he was talking about pretty much creators, most of them, unless you have your own website and your own sort of like email list and your own e-commerce store, like all of your like influence is based on other people's websites. And if those go down, that can screw your whole livelihood. That can screw up your whole family's well-being. And so I think
that's scary.
So like people need to be aware of that. And I think like, I personally think obviously Elon is like, for better or for worse, he's an amazing figurehead that gets people talking about the company. Like he is really great at driving conversation in the media. But I think like a CEO's role is to make sure that the company's actually like performing well. And I feel like that hasn't gone well. Just looking at based at like how their ad revenue has declined. Like some of their biggest advertisers have pulled out of Twitter, and like that's a bad sign. And so I think it's important to probably get someone who has like maybe a more level head in the business management side of things, to make sure that like some of these important things like paying bills don't fall through the cracks.
Right. I also think beyond like the business's performance, I just feel like I'm not sure he is leading or trying to push the mission and the vision of Twitter, of the original Twitter, you know? Like, I'm not sure he cares about that anymore. And he has a lot of bills from buying Twitter. So I think that desperation, and we're seeing that, and we've seen that for the past few months, which is stressful. Like I would admit that's stressful to have to pay like billions of dollars by the end of the year because you paid so much money for it. That is really stressful. But also, like, as the leader of a company, as a CEO of a company, I think one of the main roles is that you are pushing for this mission, and I think he's lost that. Like this desire to have people have conversations and exchange ideas on Twitter's platform, I think has taken a backseat to making more money, to just like getting more buzz about Twitter, getting himself more attention. And we've seen that with this most recent thing where he like changed the algorithm for his tweets, which he now also claims was a bug. And it's like, and then it goes back to like, okay, we need more transparency, because if you said it was a bug, like we wouldn't find code in there that was like pushing your tweets more than others. And we just can't know from the outside.
Yeah. From the chat, we have some comments. Fang says, Elon did some pretty bad stuff for moderation. Yeah, we saw that a lot of the moderation teams were let go. So I definitely think that's definitely tough. And that's one of the reasons, like, I think we've maybe talked about this on a show before, but just to sum it up slightly, is like the reason the business is performing poorly right now and the reason advertisers pull out is because they're afraid of the type of speech that can happen on Twitter if there isn't, moderation.
Right.
And because the product of Twitter is literally the moderation. It's like, the product is bringing conversations and people together and giving them an outlet to say things and let communication happen effectively. But obviously that communication can't happen effectively if there is, bad stuff being said all the time, everywhere, and like really harmful stuff that brands don't want to associate with their brand. And so they don't want to advertise on that. So I think like moderation is probably the most important aspect of Twitter for brands specifically who want to advertise. And without that, I don't think the platform will do well.
Yeah. And I think it kills me because it's like so many of these problems that they're dealing with now weren't there before he even bought the company, before he stepped in, like he kind of just stirred up all this stuff. And I think at first he was saying, the leaders beforehand were doing these things really badly, and why are we doing this? This is stupid. But now it's just like, did you even like really believe that? Like you just wanted to like get more news about you. You just wanted to like change some stuff so you could make more money because of your own personal interests. I don't know. I think I've lost a lot of faith in him as a person and as a leader. So not that I was like a huge fan before, but I just think it's just, it's like, it's been a few months now and same stuff's going on. Like, I really just don't know what's going to happen to Twitter. And it makes me kind of sad too, because the culture there is unique,
Yeah. I've stopped using it.
There you go.
It used to be my favorite platform. So it's pretty interesting. The vibes have definitely changed on there.
Interesting, yeah.
But anyway, let us know what you guys think in the chat. Really interested. I think we've said our pieces.
Yes.
And just hoping for the best for Twitter, honestly. I do hope that Elon, in my opinion, finds another CEO who can sort of take the reins and get it back to its former glory. Because it's an important cultural epicenter online. And I hope that it can continue to be that.
Also, I I low-key am like, how many people even work there now? Because he's been doing so many layoffs. He's laid off more people even after he said he was going to stop laying off people. He's fired more people, more engineers. So I'm like, who even works there now? Like, I'm actually surprised the site is still running.
Yeah. I mean, here's an interesting also comment from Zal Dare. Wasn't Twitter doing pretty bad economically before he stepped in? If it wasn't for him, before taking some big decisions, would we even have Twitter in 2 to 3 years? It's a good point. It's hard because,
that's fair.
Yeah, it wasn't a profitable company before, and it's surely not now either, for different reasons, I think. Like, the company was probably too big for its own good maybe before.
Right.
But now the advertisers have pulled out. So even after many, many rounds of layoffs and, reduction in workforce, reduction in office space, things like that, now there's other problems. So I don't know. Yeah, I think, Twitter,
that's fair.
I mean, it's something that Jack Dorsey has kind of always said, is that like maybe Twitter shouldn't be profitable. Maybe it should be like a nonprofit that's not supposed to be a profitable machine. Maybe it should just be something that exists and is there to, help with communication.
Right. Yeah, and I also because now it's like, even if they're trying to make more money, so now they're putting in this Twitter Blue subscription. I think they might be thinking about like paywalling content or like adding more. And I think some of these things would be good for the creators themselves, but some of it is just to like make Twitter make more money as a company. And it's like, do we want that? Like, would you rather pay for like Twitter Blue or some sort of subscription-y thing to just have like basic features? I think even though they are making more money, I think they're estimated to have $3 billion in revenue, I read somewhere. They still have to pay $6.5 billion because of like the loans that Elon took out to buy Twitter. So that's the race they're up against, since like, they're still not doing great financially.
I forgot he got a bad deal. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's been driving all his desperation to like push the money thing and just like drive media attention. Yeah. Future is uncertain for Twitter, but I guess you could say that about anything.
Yeah.
Ending on a deep note.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, thank you guys so much for watching. We are here every Friday, 1 p.m. EST, 10 a.m. PST. We're always talking something interesting. Let us know in the comments also if you have anything you want us to talk about next week. We're always interested in what.
Wait, I think no show next week, actually, right?
No show next week. I'm going to a wedding. Forgot.
Woo! But 2 weeks from now, we'll see y'all on Friday.
See you guys next time.
Lol.
All right. So true. Later, guys.
Bye.